Daycare is not for me, and it's not for us. Multiple reasons for this. Putting your child in full-time care by a certain age is kind of what we do in society, especially in Western society. And, we say it's for socialization and for independence and for productivity. However, I don't really agree with that. And let me tell you why. Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, where women optimize. I'm your host, Brittany Ford, holistic nutritionist and wellness entrepreneur, and I'm here to help you live in alignment with your body and nature. This podcast blends cutting-edge science with soul-led strategies to support you through every phase of womanhood, from fertility to longevity and everything in between. Each week, we dive into functional medicine, women's health, holistic healing, and biohacking tools that empower you to take control of your wellness journey. Let's redefine what it means to thrive together. Today, I am talking about propaganda I am not falling for. This is a trend on social media right now where people kind of list everything that they don't agree with or subscribe to. And it can range so many different categories, but essentially it's everything that people kind of are not feeling anymore. They're not hyped about it anymore. And I did a video on this last week, and then I thought I would just turn it into a podcast episode because there's some interesting things here that I'd love to talk about and hear your opinions of. So everything I'm about to say is my opinion. It's my perspective. Every perspective I have really comes from a place of health and health first. And health is arguably my number one value. And so that's why I kind of view these things the way that I do. They might be a little controversial. You might not agree with everything that I say, and that is totally fine. That's okay. This is a place where we discuss things and can have an open mind. So I'm going to kind of go through a few of the ones that really stick out to me that feel like might be the most controversial, but are something that I think really should be discussed. And I'll give you some resources and recommendations and things like that. And everything will be in the show notes and on my website for you to easily find them. Before I jump in, a shout out to Novos. This is my favorite longevity drink. And I'm not going to say too much about it right now, but honestly, if you are looking for something that's anti-aging and longevity focused, and you just want to take one supplement, it would be Novos because it targets all 12 hallmarks of aging in one supplement. And no one else does that. Like straight up, no one else does that. So you can get their Novos Core powder, and you can even get it subscribed. So it just gets shipped to your house. That's what I do. So easy. I have it every single day. Makes me feel more energetic in the moment, which I love. But I know that it's also helping all of the different ways that we're aging on a cellular level. So this is probably one of those supplements that I'm going to be on for a long time. I don't see myself ever coming off of it just because I think the impact really compounds over time as well. So if you're going to invest in any longevity supplement, anything long-term, it would be Novos, regardless if you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, 50s, whatever you're doing. This would be something that I would strongly recommend taking a look at. Get their Novos Core powder. You can also get their NMN add-on as well, which I also have. But even just starting with their core little powder sachets would be phenomenal. Use my discount code BIOHACKINGBRITTANY and it will save you on subscriptions and on everything. And I highly suggest it. Link to my show notes and on my website. And also my new website is coming in a few weeks. Woo! So many good things are coming. And by the way, I see all of you out there signing up for my waitlist for my Costa Rica retreat. I see you. I get notified. Don't think that I don't see your name. And I'm so happy that you are doing that. I feel really aligned about doing this. It feels like an extension of myself. And that's how I know that this is the next step for me to take. I am hosting a group of women in Costa Rica in March next year. and it's going to be a women's health optimization retreat. This is going to be life-changing. I can't even reveal too much right now, but it's going to be life-changing because not only are we going to be doing the biohacks, the really cool things, like, digital detoxes for EMF and sauna and cold therapy and massage and facials. They even have exosomes, okay? The place that we're going to. If you really want to drop that kind of dough, you totally can. That's the level of this place that we're going to. It's actually so much more than just the what. It's the why and it's the results. It's going to be a transformation, and we're going to be able to sit and really just be with ourselves and channel into the softness that is not often there in the biohacking space, but also not often there in the hustle culture and the masculine way that we tend to live. So in the fight or flight and all of that. And we are going to create a space for a week where we are going to be in our feminine and think about and talk about how do we optimize that and how do we bring that home in our busy daily lives. I have so many cool things planned. Like, I cannot wait. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So I also can't reveal too much. Yeah. The waiting list is open on my website. It's linked in my show notes. And essentially what's going to happen in about a month. No, actually, yeah, about a month. That's correct. I am going to open the doors for everybody on the waiting list first. And you are going to get a special offer if you sign up right away. And I'm not going to tell you what that is right now. And then the doors will be open to the public after. I'm not sure how this is going to go. We will see. I think there's like 35 women on the waiting list already. And I don't know how many women I'm going to bring is kind of what I'm thinking right now. It could only be 10, just to be so honest with you, or it could be maybe 15. So this thing might sell out like within a weekend. I'm not sure. We're really just going to see how this goes. And I will say that when you do something so aligned with yourself and your energy and your business and your values, and you put out something that is like an extension of yourself in this way, and this is the response to it, you know that you need to do that, and that's your next step. And like, that's what the people in your audience and your followers, whatever you want to call them, need. That's what they need. And you are meeting their needs. So I'm really excited about this. It feels really, really good. And it feels like it's coming from a place of like my heart and my soul and like this very like grounded place. Doesn't feel inauthentic at all. I've been to Costa Rica multiple times, been to Nicaragua. I've hosted events before. I've hosted my wedding in Costa Rica for 4 nights 2 years ago. So that was like a mini retreat for 45 people. So there you go. This is going to be so much better than that, arguably. All right. Join the waitlist. We'll see what happens. I hope to meet you in Costa Rica. Imagine that. Imagine that. All right. Propaganda I am not falling for. I'm going to split this into 2 categories. The first one is kind of has to do with motherhood, because I know a ton of you are moms, or you're pregnant, or your mom is to be, or your parents, whatever. The first one is sleep training. Yeah, that's right. That's what I said. So why? Sleep training has kind of been sold as like this essential thing we need to do to raise a well-adjusted baby. But the truth is that it's not really necessary. And in many cases, it doesn't align with our biology. The most common method people know is called like the cry it out method. There's a bunch of different names as well, or different methods you can choose. But essentially, they're all about like letting your baby kind of cry and going back in after 5 minutes. And then the next time it's 10 minutes. And then the next time it's 30 minutes, or letting them cry until they pass out. And it's like this idea is that they are to learn to self-soothe. But in reality, Babies aren't developmentally capable of true self-regulation until age 3 to 5. Before that, they rely on co-regulation, which is the ability to calm down by being close to a responsive caregiver, typically mom and dad. Letting a baby cry without comfort activates their HPA-axis, increasing cortisol, which primes the nervous system for hypervigilance and stress reactivity, can negatively affect gut health, sleep cycles, and emotional bonding, and alters brain wiring in the limbic system, specifically the amygdala. In fact, a 2012 study in early human development found that although babies slept through the night, whatever that might mean, after crying it out training, their cortisol remained elevated, meaning they weren't actually calm. They had just stopped crying and passed out. I'm not saying sleep training isn't inherently harmful or that every method is wrong, but it's not the only option. It's okay to follow your baby's cues. It's okay to prioritize attachment, nervous system regulation, and contact sleep if that's what feels right to you. Sleep is developmental and it's not a skill to be learned or forced. And as mothers, we're allowed to step away from cultural convenience and lean into biology. I got multiple books on sleep training in the beginning. I felt so overwhelmed. It was like sleep windows, wake windows, this time, that time. Okay, they're going to go from 4 naps to 3 naps to 2 naps. And then this is going to happen. And this is when you feed them and you can't breastfeed them to sleep and all of these rules. And every single time I read a blog post about that, an Instagram post, a book, I felt so icky. I felt this misalignment with it. I felt like I don't like this. This doesn't sit well with me. And I struggled with that in the beginning because I knew people around me who were doing that. And I was like, oh, that's what I got to do. Okay. So I can't breastfeed him to sleep. Okay. And when he wakes up to cry, I have to leave him for 20 minutes to calm down. And if he doesn't calm down, then I can go in. And like all this bullshit, to be honest, it didn't sit well with me. And then I was like, I'm actually going to look into this. And then you look into it and you look into the biology of sleep training and you're like, oh, wait a minute. This actually like doesn't make sense. This does not make sense. All of the people, I guess maybe not all, I would argue that the majority of the people who teach sleep training, like these sleep consultants that you could hire for your baby or these books, I would argue that they are lacking research in the biological and physiological aspects of sleep cycles and how that affects baby, and stress, cortisol, including how their HPA-axis works, including their gut health, including their emotional bonding, their growth, their limbic system, all of it. All of it. You know what? I didn't see any of that mentioned in any of the books that I read. And so as a mom whose value is arguably health first, everything I do for my baby, I look through the lens of like, is this the healthiest option for him? Not what is convenient for me, what is convenient for my husband, what is convenient for our life. No. What is the healthiest option for him? And that's why I just don't subscribe to this idea of sleep training. I understand that there are circumstances where this might be necessary for certain families. I think that that is fine and that's okay for you. However, for me, as someone who once hit my son Callahan's emotional regularity to be appropriate for his age, I am not willing to train him at 10 months old or younger to sleep through the night. I think it's garbage. And I think it is a cultural convenience. Absolutely. So now what do I actually do in practice? So when Callahan yawns, rubs his eyes, he goes down for a nap. He typically is napping twice a day right now. He gets 2 to 3 hours a day of daytime sleep, and then he goes to bed around 7 or 8 at night, and he usually wakes up once during the night to feed. I breastfeed him every single time I put him down for sleep. Not every single time, but like most of the time. And I'm happy to do that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. He like his sleep has only gotten better as he has gotten older. So he used to wake up a few times a night. I used to obviously have to breastfeed him multiple times. He used to take multiple naps, and we've gotten less and less and less as he's gotten older. And honestly, probably in the next 6 months, I can see him sleeping through the night and being down to one nap. He slept through the night, like, I don't know, 8, 10 times already. We used to use the Huckleberry app and track all of his naps and even his feedings in the beginning. And then I completely stopped when we went traveling in April, and it was much better. I just think there's a lot to be said about trusting my baby, following his cues, and prioritizing his unique biological circadian rhythm, not what is convenient for me. And that's why I just don't agree with sleep training. Maybe I'll change my mind, but I'm not sure. If you want to look this up, there are definitely books on this idea behind this. Attachment parenting in general is something I'm kind of dabbling with. I talked to the CEO of Tiny Health about it, and she has 3 kids. She has a newborn, and she's running a very successful business, and she does attachment parenting. Attachment parenting is essentially like a lot of skin to skin, a lot of holding the baby in a carrier, co-sleeping, and just being around your baby a lot. I'm around Callahan a lot. He comes first, and then my business comes second. So I always work around his schedule. We don't co-sleep, as in like we don't sleep in the same bed. I've tried, but he just doesn't take to it. Like he doesn't settle. He gets a little confused, or he gets energetic when he's in our bed. He just never really settled. So we just never really did it, to be honest. Imagine waking up each day feeling energized, mentally sharp, and visibly youthful, no matter your age. I've unlocked exactly that with Novus Core, and it's completely upgraded my approach to longevity. Novus Core is the only longevity supplement that targets all 12 key causes of aging, something no other product does. Most supplements only address 1 or 2 aspects of aging, but Novus Core is a complete formula designed to work across all the biological pathways of aging in one simple daily drink. Developed by leading longevity experts from Harvard Medical School and MIT, Novus Core is backed by serious scientific research. What makes Novus Core so effective? It's packed with 12 scientifically validated ingredients like fisetin, glycine, calcium alpha, ketoglutarate, and magnesium, each included at scientifically proven doses. These ingredients work together to protect your DNA, help reduce inflammation and cellular senescence, and support stem cell health, effectively slowing aging at its root causes. And here's something even more exciting. You don't have to wait years to feel the difference. 81% of Novus customers report noticeable improvements in their skin, mood, energy, or sleep within just 2 weeks, with even greater benefits accumulating over time. Since incorporating Novus Core, I've experienced incredible boosts in my energy, honestly, like right away when I'm drinking it, improved sleep, sharper cognition, and balanced moods, and even visibly healthier skin, which we all love. I genuinely feel younger, healthier, and more vibrant every single day when I have this. If you are ready to take your longevity journey to the next level, you can visit novuslabs.com and use my discount code BIOHACKINGBRITTANY for 10% off of your first month subscription of Novus Core. That's novuslabs.com with code BIOHACKINGBRITTANY for 10% off your first month's subscription. Enjoy and let me know what you think. But I did a ton of contact napping for the first, like 5 months. I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And he was in our room in a mini crib until about 4.5 months. So we did room share. That's what works for us. And again, my perspective is like his biology first. What did we do as hunter and gatherers? What is natural to us versus like trying to make these robots who can sleep 12 hours a night and nap on a very specific schedule and all of this stuff that I just don't think is necessarily right. Okay, next up, kind of in line with that, is daycare. Daycare is not for me, and it's not for us. Multiple reasons for this. Putting your child in full-time care by a certain age is kind of what we do in society, especially in Western society. And, we say it's for socialization and for independence and for productivity. However, I don't really agree with that. And let me tell you why. So there is a lot of research actually behind daycare, and some of it is, again, related to stress. So high cortisol levels are common in kids under 3 in full-time daycare, particularly actually in group settings. Long hours in daycare are associated with increased behavioral dysregulation, especially in sensitive or neurodivergent kids. The most protective factor for development isn't daycare, it's a consistent, responsive caregiver. So, if you are curious about this topic, please read the book, Being There, the importance of being there in the first 3 years. It's called something like that. And the author her name is Erica. I'm going to try to get her on the show. Fascinating book, but essentially, and she's been on multiple podcasts. I think she might be on a podcast tour right now, but she talks about the harmful effects of daycare on a baby's health and development and brain. And she says some controversial things, but I really applaud her for putting baby's health first. And this is kind of where I stand with this as well. I respect that daycare could be the only option for some families out there. And there's no shame if that is the option that you are choosing because you don't have another option. What Erica would say to that is she would argue that primary caregiver, if it's mom, actually shouldn't really be going to work and she should be staying home with her child, and that you need to adjust your living so that you can survive off of the one income and you actually don't need to survive off 2 incomes. That is her argument, by the way. If you're hearing this and being like, oh, I need to work, her argument is like, no, actually you don't. Not for the first 3 years. So I'm not saying that that's what her argument is. Everyone can do whatever they think is best for their family, of course. I just think that baby's health is often left out of the conversation when we're talking about this transition. Now, especially as Callahan is coming up to the age of 1, a lot of people, like the moms I know in my community, are like looking at daycares, putting their kids into daycare, and their kids are throwing tantrums and they're hating it and they're getting called to come pick up their kid after half an hour. And I'm like, yeah, because your kid is like 12 months, not even is 11 months old. They're put in a place that they don't know with people they don't know. And they're given like a bottle of milk and food and they're expected to just be happy is an outrageous expectation. Again, I'm not shaming people who do this because I understand that this might be your circumstances and you might need to do that for your family. I just think I would love to see more education and more discussion on what this means for the kid. How do they develop? How does their brain change? How does their cortisol levels change? How all of the hormones, how does it impact behavior? How does it impact learning as well? Because in Erica's book, she actually talks about this. She says, kids actually don't need socialization until the age of 3. And what age do kids go to preschool? 3, 3.5, 3. So I really think there's a lot to be said here about holding off, if you can, until 3. Now, I run a business. So what am I doing? We are bringing in my mom. And this, again, is what Erica's number one recommendation is. Well, her recommendation is that, I would stay home completely for the first 3 years and not work. However, as someone with a business and also someone with a lot of passion and identity in my work and success, I I've tried to figure out like, how do I kind of keep this going, but prioritize Callahan? And so up until my mom is coming, that has looked like me working around his schedule. So I only work when he naps or early in the morning or after he goes to bed. Or if I do have a grandparent here taking care of him. That's it. Like, and even when we have grandparents here in the house, it's for a few hours. And I'm very aware of like what he's eating, when he's eating. I'm just upstairs. We're regularly nursing. I don't give him a bottle. He nurses off of me. I stopped pumping at 7 months. And so we're kind of in this flow of like, okay, he has a wake window of 3 hours-ish right now. Okay, you can feed him lunch. I'm going to go record a podcast episode and then I'll hop back down after. I'll nurse him and I'll put him down for his nap. It's kind of like that. And it's been like that since he was 3 months old. I've kind of just flowed in and out of the different contexts that I am required in. And it was really challenging in the beginning to do so much context switching, especially when you work from home. But now it's like second nature and I just flow in and out of my office and, you get used to it. You get very used to like switching from like writing an email to like building blocks to making muffins to putting him down for a nap and then calling it a day or. And so now we are bringing on my mom because we need more support than that. And he's getting a bit older and he is less reliant on me already. And so we're bringing in my mom, I think for the summer, we're doing 4 nights. She's staying with us in our house for 4 nights and she'll be kind of doing half days and then she'll be doing part-time after that. And so my goal is not to be full-time until he is in school. Now, mind you, propaganda I'm not falling for, like another little side note is like this idea of 9 to 5 masculine. Every day is the same work schedule. I am not falling for that. I don't agree with that. That doesn't fit into my life. And that is a very masculine way of looking at work. I don't know how many hours I work a week. I also don't care. It does not matter for me. When we have my mom coming to support, part-time like that. And, again, I will not be working full days. It's not like she's going to be downstairs and I'm going to be up in my office working 9 to 5 because I know that Callahan needs me around and wants me to be around. And so I'm going to be doing part-time. So it's going to look like probably a few hours every day, a few hours when he's awake, and then also whatever is needed when he's sleeping. And then I'll take him to swimming, take him to music, I'll nurse him, and none of that is changing. And then once he's 3 and he goes to preschool, we can reassess at that point. I don't know if we're going to have other kids. I'm not sure. So we will see. But again, it's working around his schedule. And so what Erica talks about in this book is she says, if you are going to work a little bit, and she did with her kids, by the way, I think she worked 2 hours a day was her agreement. The next best thing is having a grandparent come in and support you. The reason that is because that is a familiar bond to the baby. And that person is going to be in that kid's life for a long time. So they are building a relationship. That is a face they're going to see day in and day out, and at Christmas and Thanksgiving this year and next year and the year after. And there's this regulation that happens there, and there's this comfort level and safety. If you go to a daycare, you have one teacher and then they move on, or you have a new teacher the next year, and there's way less structure in that relationship there, or like way less foundation or similarity or whatever you want to call it. So having a grandparent come in is the next best thing, and that's what we're doing. So my mom's coming in. We're so grateful for that. But mind you, we also moved across the country so that we could be close to my mom so that we could do this. It doesn't come without sacrifice, let me tell you. And we're also paying her. Like straight up, we're paying her. She's retiring early. She can't afford to not be paid in some capacity. And we also want to respect the work that she puts in. So we came to an agreement and we're paying her, and that's what we're doing. And we're going to do that until he's 3, and then he can go to preschool, and who knows where we'll be living. Maybe it'll be preschool in Nicaragua at that point, but we'll see. And so when we travel this upcoming winter, she's coming with us. And that's another expense, but it's worth it, right? It's absolutely worth it. There's other things about daycare as well that I don't love. I don't love the food that they feed them. Don't come at me and tell me this oatmeal cookie is good for my kid. Like, what are you talking about? I can't. I don't have the tolerance for that shit. Like, I can't do it. Now, imagine if I opened a daycare that was like a biohacking or like health focused. Wow. That would be so different. So different. Or maybe it wouldn't exist because it's not the healthiest option for the kid, you know? So that's a factor. I also just think safety is a factor. It's kind of beyond the scope of this show, but I'm sure if you're on TikTok, especially, you know how much light has been showed, whatever, on the pedophilia world lately. And it's really scary. And it's not something that I want to put my son, I don't want to expose him to anything like that. And you might think like, oh, licensed daycares, they have all these rules they have to follow and that might not happen. Yeah, sure. But what happens when, there's an uncle who drops by who is an adult who I don't know is going to be in this home daycare? And then you say, okay, don't put your kid in a home daycare, put them into like a center. Okay. What happens if there's like a package delivered from Amazon and they have to bring the packages to the back and there's like a random adult just like hanging out with these little kids? I like, it's stuff like that where like weird things actually do happen. People take photos. I don't want to talk about what's inappropriate there. I just don't trust those situations. And there's too many things that happen. There's too much pedophilia out there. And I hate saying that it makes me so uncomfortable. And I will not expose my son to it. Other factors are like the whole vaccine thing as well. Don't agree with the mandates around it. And so it's not that I don't agree with vaccines. I don't agree with the mandates around them. And so I'm not sure how that would impact us as well. So there's multiple things here, but again, we are fortunate enough to have grandparent support and be able to put Callahan's health first and not put him into daycare. And I just want to say for everyone listening who might think like, oh, wow, must be nice. We are definitely paying my mom a pretty penny. So if we put him in daycare in our area, it would probably be cheaper than what we're paying my mom. So don't think for a second that it's like $500 and, for a month. Like, no. So we are respecting her work and her effort and wouldn't have it any other way. Would not have it any other way. Okay. That's enough about the motherhood. It's time. I'm going to try bring Erica on my show. Very controversial topics. I understand. Next, I want to talk about sunscreen. Oh my gosh. This is something I have thought about for many years. Years, guys. I don't know why. I'm just so on the fence with sunscreen. Okay. So we've been taught to fear the sun, to slather ourselves in SPF from sunrise to sunset, even inside, even in the winter, even when you live in Canada. My God. But what we're not told is that actually sunlight is a nutrient. When it's used wisely, it regulates your circadian rhythm and improves sleep. It increases serotonin and dopamine, which are really important hormones for our mood and our mental health. It supports vitamin D synthesis, which 1 in 2 women are deficient in. And it activates mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning it actually helps your cells make more energy, which is why maybe we feel so sluggish when we don't get any sun, in the winter. Blocking UV rays constantly, especially without ever getting unfiltered natural light, can lead to disrupted hormone function, poor sleep, depressed mood, and low immunity. Instead of fearing the sun, I focus on sun timing and safe exposure, morning light, no sunglasses first thing, and building a solar callus over time. I'm just on the fence with this because every anti-aging guru person on the internet says, oh my God, wear SPF. It's the most important thing. Put your sunscreen on every single day. And I'm like, okay, but I know that sunlight hitting my skin is important for my body. If I block it every single time I go outside, how am I going to create vitamin D? How am I going to activate this mitochondrial biogenesis, like helping my cells feel energized? How am I going to help regulate my hormones and my circadian rhythm? Like it doesn't make sense to me that we are preaching this all of the time for the sake of anti-aging and skin cancer. Like what? I don't understand. The thing with the skin cancer thing is like people say that the sun can cause skin cancer. But then there's research that came out that said actually the sunscreen that you're using and lathering on has such toxic chemicals in it that is what is causing the skin cancer. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so on the fence with it. Again, if we tap into intuition here, and what does my gut feeling say about this? My feeling says that when the UV ray is very high, it makes sense to put sunscreen on your face and maybe on your hands, maybe on your chest, places where you have less fat and you have very much thinner skin, which I do. And this, I do understand actually would help with anti-aging and preventing skin cancer, maybe, but anti-aging for sure. I get that. Okay. I get that it creates the block, whatever the mechanism is there. Sure. I'm talking UV like 7 or higher here. Okay. No, maybe like 6 or, nah, I don't know. Sure. 6 or higher. It's when people say like to wear it every single day in the winter in Canada. And I'm like, I go outside, the UV index is like 1 or 0. I just don't understand that. And I also just don't understand lathering my whole body in it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't do it. I don't do it. So what do I do? Like I said, I use the Skin SPF 30, which has peptides in it. It's a great skincare company. You can use my discount code BIOHACKINGBRITTANY. I put that on my face. I did that my entire trip on Nicaragua. It didn't burn at all. And it was 30 degrees by 10 a.m. I did that every single day, a couple times a day when I was there because the UV went to 12. Yeah, it was wild. So that made sense. I also, when I was like tanning or in the pool or in the ocean and I was like, wearing a bathing suit and had a lot of skin exposed, I definitely put some sunscreen on my arms and I wasn't an idiot about it. Like when I felt like, hey, the sun is really, really hot right now, I need to protect my skin from burning, I put it on. And I think that makes sense. Now, I'm back in Canada. It's June. We're sitting at like 22 degrees. The UV is going to like 5. Am I putting sunscreen on every day right now? Like every other day. Okay. I go for a walk. Do I put sunscreen on my body? No. Because I think it's important for me to get the vitamin D. We just came out of winter. It feels good on my skin. I know I'm not going to burn. And that's what intuitively feels good to me. I also understand my body. I'm not somebody who burns easily. I go brown very easily. And so I tan. And that's kind of my perspective on that. So I'm not really subscribing to this whole idea of sunscreen 24/7, even indoors. If you want to hit me up with your research that proves that the sun can really cause cancer solely, like without any other, I guess what would be the word here, like cofactors into that equation, which I don't even know if we can prove, I would love to chat and talk about that. I also think it's important to talk about what type of sunscreen you're using. So I use sunblock, not sunscreen, which uses zinc or titanium dioxide, which creates like a physical barrier on your skin from the sun. I don't use sunscreen, which is a chemical that leaches into your skin and can cause a lot of issues. There's actually places, I think it's Hawaii, that has banned certain ingredients in sunscreen because it's been bleaching the coral so badly. So think about that. If that's what that's doing to coral in the ocean when it's being washed off the beaches or in showers or whatever, what is that doing to your body and what is that doing to your skin? So please just try to use sunblock only. If you're listening to this and you have a kid, the one that I use for Callahan is called Think Baby. Only the SPF 31, nothing higher. It's EWG certified. It is super clean ingredients. It's zinc oxide. It's not super white. It spreads easily. Doesn't have any other garbage in it. Think Baby is my go-to. Something to note about the SPF, and I'm sure a lot of you listening know this, after SPF 30, there really isn't much point. What do I mean? So if you buy SPF 40, SPF 50, the percentage in difference of how much it can protect you from the UV rays is minimal. So and this is like easily information found online. SPF 30, I think blocks about, I think it's 97% of the UV rays that come down onto your skin. When you go to SPF 40, SPF 50, it's like another 1%. That's it. But if you go from 20 to 30, it's a big jump. I think the jump is from like 92 to 97. So it's worth it there. So there's no point in spending any extra money on the SPF 40, SPF 50, anything like that. 30 is all you need. It's not going to make a difference. Obviously, you have to relather and put it on again, especially if you're in the heat. So those are my 3 things I'm going to kind of say. I feel like there's more I could talk about, but I think it's beyond this call or this podcast episode. And I think that's enough. I'm so curious what you think about these 3 things, like sleep training, daycare, and sunscreen. Where do you stand on those topics? They're just like front of mind for me right now. So I feel like I wanted to share about them. If you have other propaganda that you don't subscribe to or that you're not falling for, let me know. Message me on Instagram at BioHackingBrittany, and I would love to hear from you. I'm just so curious, what you think everyone else is doing and what you should be doing. It's really interesting when we talk about this type of thing. If you want to join my waitlist for my retreat, go for it. It's linked in the show notes. More information is coming out about that very soon. And maybe I'll see you in Costa Rica. And thank you for listening. I will catch you soon for another episode. Thank you for listening to Biohacking with Brittany, where women optimize. If you loved this episode, share it, subscribe, and leave a review to help more women step into science-backed, soul-led wellness. To go deeper, check out the show notes for upcoming retreats, live events, my course, and the latest on socials. Until next time, keep listening to your body, trusting your intuition, and optimizing every step of the way.